Well, about a month ago, the leaders of the House and Senate named the members of a legislative task force to study and recommend tax reforms. At that same time, Speaker of the House Jeremy Gillum named Representative Laurie Rushing as the House Chair for the Economic and Tax Policy Committee, which is a different entity. Representative Rushing now joins me. I got all that right, didn't I, on background?
You're correct.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What exactly does the Economic and Tax Policy Committee do, and how is it different from what this task force is going to be doing?
Well, the Economic Tax and Policy Committee is one that was designed years back and basically to overview the revenues that come in and also how it will affect the economic development of Arkansas. And so they're to meet yearly, and that task force is assigned. It's not really a task force, it's a committee. It's a standing committee that's been put in place. And so we have been challenged now to kind of get on board with the task force and kind of work together and see what we can come up with.
So you guys are working simultaneously. You guys have meetings on the House side at least when the task force
on the House
does.
side, we will meet simultaneously with the task force. We'll be given a notebook. We'll have all the same information that's given to them. Then we will do separately our own separate meetings to discuss policies and where it may lead and different things that it may affect on the direction that they're going.
Do you think your committee members are going to go in a different direction than the task force? Do you think you guys will, do you think that that's your charge, is to do what the task force is supposed to do, or what you guys want to do?
I think that our charge is really more to be able to lend a hand to the task force. And so we may come up in our group with some different aspects that we need and different directions that we need to go. But instead of, fighting with the task force or against them, our charge, and hopefully is the way we want it to go, is that we will then bring our stuff to the task force and open it up for discussion. And so maybe our committee can then make a presentation to the task force and say, this is what we would like to see happen, and let them kind of be open to that too.
All of us in the news business want you guys to fight openly and as often as possible. So that would be okay with us. So do you have some overall goals for this process that the task force is going to go through from your vantage point with the committee?
Well, I think that one of our main goals is to make sure that we're looking at how everything's going to affect the state overall economically. We're talking everything from pensions to roads and to anything that any kind of tax cuts or tax reform could alter in any way, shape, or form. And so we want to make sure the economic growth of Arkansas stays strong, even though we're making tax cuts and tax reform. We also I know that I personally and some of the other members on that committee have talked about all the exemptions that are in place. And of course, I think those were brought out in the task force this week as well.
Do you want to see an exploration of those exemptions and a justification, or do you already have some preconceived notions about, hey, there's a few that don't make sense already?
Well, I have a few preconceived notions that there's a few that don't make sense. But what I would like to...
Can you name one or two of them?
Well, I think one of them that has struck me the most has been the rental car exemption. And, basically when you have a rental car and those are exempt from the sales tax when they purchase it, I know that it kind of is not good business friendly. They think,
right.
The rental car business. But again, we're reimbursed usually from either tourists that are coming into the state, or we're reimbursed from insurance companies that the policy members have put out to pay for those rental cars when the accidents. So that's one of them. And then what I would really like to see happen, and I don't know that it will happen, but I would like to see all exemptions off the table and everybody come to the table and justify why they need their exemption.
Yeah, so one of those, like a 5-year sunset that was proposed, I don't think it got into law, but it was one of those, let's make sure they're all going to go off the books and then they have to be renewed on there. You support that?
Yeah, I do.
Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin issued a letter this past week. He shared it with the task force members. I'm not sure if it made it to your committee members or not, but I'm sure you saw it. And one of the things that he kind of advocated for was this transformation of state government, and basically looking for more efficiencies in the delivery of state services. Is that really doable? You've been around long enough now with a couple sessions under your belt to know it's hard to move the needle on really cutting significantly or making things more efficient in state government.
It really is. I respect everything that Lieutenant Governor Griffin says. Him and I agree a lot on tax policy and reform, and so I really respect his ideas. One thing that I like to say is that I feel like that right now we have the shell of the car, but we have no engine. And so until we put that engine in place to drive that car, and as we all know, government takes forever to build an engine. I mean, we're not like a private business and can just go out and say, okay, in 6 months I want this done. And but I mean, we just look at the task force where we're putting out RFPs, and we're talking September before we even are able to even get possibility of getting somebody hired to help us
Right.
on that task force. So hopefully between now and September, my little committee can be working on some inside guts of that engines to present forward and say, here, this is what we'd like to see happen.
All right, Representative Laurie Rushing, thank you so much for being with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And best of luck on the committee there. You got a lot of work ahead of you there.
Thank you.
When we come back, there could be a Democratic challenger to Congressman French Hill in the 2nd District. Paul Spencer joins me when we come back.